I mean, from my perspective, many of the things that we offer here at CMPD related to employee wellness were in place prior to April 29th. I think shortly before April 29th, we were talking about, oh, look at all these things that we've kind of created, these resources that we are now offering our folks. And April 29th really was proof of concept. These things were working, and maybe we needed them to be bigger. So really, when we talk about what's different, we've really scaled many of our programs since April 29th, whether that's adding more peer support, adding an extra clinician, increasing the amount of times that certain programs are being offered. That was really the response, is like, oh, okay, we knew this needed to be bigger, but we need to make it bigger faster. And that I did. Chicory, if you want to add anything.
No, it's it's interesting because we had just gotten out of our wellness meeting on April 29th, where we had just recapped what we had put together in the year that we had been working. Really not a year, just really more like about 6 months. And we were able to mobilize everything that we had basically put together. And I can tell you that we were very fortunate to have the response that we did regarding the mental health of our employees, both sworn and civilian staff as well, because that was really an unprecedented attack, not just on our agency, but on law enforcement and the country. And we feel really blessed that we were able to get and provide this type of support for our staff to help them get through and mitigate the stressors, which oftentimes lead to either crisis in their own lives or they walk away from the job.
The first thing that comes to my mind is just intentionality, right? Mm-hmm. Being intentional about how you are taking care of yourself outside of work, making it a priority. Self-care is not just for the weak, it is for the people who remain strong, actually. So big things that we see in kind of this policing culture as the job kind of takes over and folks lose those hobbies, those social connections, the things that make them them, but that also keep them well. So I really think that the biggest action step that folks can take is prioritizing taking care of themselves, prioritizing having some kind of separation between them and their career, so that they have that space to heal outside of what we know is a very difficult career, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. What were some of the immediate steps that CMPD leadership and the Office of Wellness took to support the staff in the days and weeks following, April 29th of last year?
Yeah.
Well, I think I know the chief had really just established the Office of Employee Wellness officially around November of the previous year of 23. So again, we were still 6 months sort of into this new idea. Ashley had been here before, obviously kind of, working and kind of setting the stage. And by Chief Jennings being able to create an official, recognized department within the agency for wellness, it was a big step. I mean, again, I've been here for almost 27 years, so we knew we had wellness, but at the time it was really encapsulated around employee assistance programs, right? If you needed to go see a therapist, you would have to call the EAP line. You basically got no internal support here other than a sergeant maybe telling you go get EAP. So what we did with that from a department standpoint is we then leveraged all these new things that we had. We had these massive debriefs that were done. We used the the connections we had, for example, with Bank of America Stadium. They provided the footprint for us to hold a debrief with over 300 people that were involved in that incident to come in. They provided food. Those immediate things then help segue and break off, into the smaller group sessions. And then those even broke off down to the individual officer. And Ashley could probably talk in detail a little bit more how that was done. But the department basically set the stage very early on that, hey, this happened. This is a terrible tragedy for, again, our profession, for our department, for our employees, their families. And we want to take every step that's possible. And I know you can't do it all in one day. Again, we set out this outline of things like, hey, this is going to be a recurring issue. Reach out, go talk to somebody. So those are the things we really, as an agency, tried to put into play by normalizing the idea of reaching out for mental health assistance. Whether or not you feel like you have something traumatic you're dealing with, we let it know, hey, it's okay if you don't even have an issue to go see someone or at least talk about it with your peers, with peer support or all these different things that we have set in place. So.
The feedback from the CCAP program has been so tremendously positive. I mean, to the point where the Police Foundation gave us another $100,000, so we know that it's funded again. So that's $200,000 total that they've invested in our folks, which we're so grateful for. And the reason that they did that was because we have done a really good job of getting anonymous feedback. So we ask anyone who completes a CCAP appointment if they would be willing to do an anonymous survey, and then send them off with a QR code, right, that they can fill out. And so we've seen actual statements of what people are saying about this. And I don't want to like read word for word, because I don't want to, that was never the intention. But I mean, and we've had, there was one where someone mentioned saying that like they really just didn't know what else to do. And that treatment gave them a second chance at living, and they didn't think that they would have went to treatment without this program. And were worried about what life would have been like if they had not actually had CCAP to fund that for them. So, I mean, when you think about stories like that, this is life-saving money, and people are willing to share. I've talked to sergeants who will stand up in front of their officers at a roll call and say, I've used CCAP, it's fine, you use CCAP. So we know people are talking about it. We know it's working, and the feedback has just been so positive. And I'll just add, like, these are not just folks that were involved in April 29th. CCAP is open to anyone, including our non-sworn staff, and they've been utilizing it too. So really CCAP is, hey, we will reimburse anyone as long as you're a CMPD employee. We don't care why you're going to get treatment. We just care that you're taking care of yourself. And what a beautiful message.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have our police foundation here. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Foundation has really been a great blessing for our officers and our agency. They don't just provide things like CCAP, they provide funding for other initiatives that involve like officer safety, equipment. Going back to even when they deployed body-worn cameras here at CMPD was with the assistance of a grant from them, or a donation, excuse me. If other agencies have a foundation, it would be a good way to maybe go speak to them. I know the Raleigh Police Department has a foundation. If other agencies across the country, I know a lot of the larger ones do have foundations that assist. They would be the ones to go primarily, but also for executive staff to find out if you have local businessmen or people that like to donate money for these causes, which there are a lot of those around. Certainly they understand the benefits of why law enforcement has to be in communities. A lot of these businessmen, or women, they want to make sure that their officers are looked after. So if you don't necessarily have a foundation, maybe you know of someone that would be willing to make a donation to assist. And of course, they have protocols they have to follow regarding that money and accountability. We have a lot of accountability with those funds here. But it's certainly not anything that's outside their span of control. They could probably work towards getting some type of similar funding to get those co-pays handled. Yeah, I did mention a small part of it. For us as an agency, we look at how many recruits left during the class. It was a small number. How many officers did we lose last year? It was a smaller number. So for us, if you wanted to quantify success, how did we keep and retain more employees during one of our most critical years, right? How did we do that? Those are measures of success, but also it's the general feeling within the agency that before people maybe felt that they were left out. And what these programs have done is they have, Ashley and the clinicians, they have taken wellness out into divisions. They have personalized it through a face-to-face manner where not only are their names recognizable, but it's a multi-layer process. From each month, they send out newsletters. I mean, people used to think newsletter death, right? It's like our newsletters aren't noise. They are things that feature officers prominently, officers that are on peer support, our chaplains, resources, things that people come to expect. We just onboarded the therapy dog, Lottie, who's fantastic. It's the marketing of her and our new clinician, Renee, for example. People become, we have, close to 2,400 employees here, but we involve putting out Lottie while she was getting training so people can say, hey, that's my dog. This is my therapy dog, even though they're not handling her, but everybody has a sense of belonging. So I think as an agency, we can still climb that mountain to make sure people not only feel included here, feel like they're listened to, feel like they're valued, feel like their opinions matter, and that way they can talk. If you feel like you can talk, you will talk to a clinician. If you feel like you feel safe, you can talk to a supervisor about something.
It's as simple as the person that reached out to me the other day to tell me that they no longer were going to have to do a fit for duty and that things had gotten way better and they're doing all the things that we had like recommended and they're feeling good. That one person, right? Like just that is success, that we made such a positive impact on that one person. But I think even bigger than that is just that people continue to utilize us, that this is a resource that isn't just existing and everyone ignores. Like this is something that we've built that people are taking advantage of, and it's actually helping people, and that's success to me.